All right, all right. Happy Friday to all you devils out there. Sam here with you, Friday the 24th. Oh, a little after 12:30 for me. Of course, we're going to look at a couple of counts here on Bitcoin and maybe update a few that we looked at last week and another that I'll put into the mix here for some trade ideas. Now, let's just review here real quickly. I won't spend a lot of time on this because this has been, well, we've been looking at this for quite some time. This is just one of two counts here with regards to where we are here. But what I think is most notable here, which is just striking, is how this inner channel, all of the battle that's been taking place here is between these are the 23 here, if I highlight it for you. These are the 23 sixes, right? The internal fib number here of that channel. It's interesting how that has really contained, where you can see it from pivot to pivot. Interesting how that's really contained all the action. So we're well, of course, the median line here is a magnet, but we can't seem to get beyond one side or the other here. So we stay in this consolidation. Now, and we're going to look at this. I know you can't really see in there, but just for a quick review. If for those of you that are bulls that think the 4 is in, well, that's how we have to get there, right? So it strikes me that, well, shit, there's probably another way to do it, but you'd have to go A, expand the B, and then you can use that nice looking 5 that brings you down here. So you get an A, B, C with the expanded B, brings us down to the 4 here, interestingly. Not only at the 38 to the tick, it's also right on the edge of that 23.6. All right, so the geometry playing nicely there. Then we get the 1, 2, again, bumping that 23.6. So if that's the count here, and we'll break this down internally, well, at least if that's a 1, 2, well, off we go. Well, as I have mentioned the last couple of weeks, this is not my primary. This is my secondary count, or an alternate count. And I'm going to bring over my primary count here in Motive Wave here, just because it's all teed up. I haven't had to move it much. Now, I just remind you guys, because everything I've done here historically has always been through TradingView, but I've been an active user. Oh, geez, I think I first reached out to them in 2009 when I first arrived in Austin, and I've been using it ever since. For an Elliottician, this is well, beyond that. It's an unbelievably powerful piece of software for a technician. And so not to dwell on this, but if this interests you, you can find this. Our link is directly underneath this video. When you click on our link tree, you'll see the Motive Wave. The Motive Wave link in there. If you're not a member and you'd like to support the channel, well, that's one way you could do it. We get a little, I don't know what we get. I think we get 20% or something. We get a little kicker if you make that purchase here. So not to be really shilling it, but I mean, I use it. It's a great piece of software. It's a tremendously powerful piece of software. Not so much for the auto Elliott counting, although there are times where it's a time saver that I would. Part of the reason I've always cautioned members from starting here is that this is infinitely more powerful once you have a good grasp of Elliott Wave rules and guidelines. Then it's it's a matter of efficiency, right? We can do things quickly. So that's just something to keep in mind. Of course, it's applicable to every asset class. And as I think I mentioned before, the reason I didn't start with this when I started Trade Devils is they didn't have crypto at that time. So that's TradingView. Again, they do have a very nice demo of this if you're interested. It's a 14-day full working version of this. And then they have different modules, right? You don't need everything. I think the Elliott Lite is, I don't know, $89 a month. I mean, so it's not outrageously priced for the amount of horsepower that you're getting here for a technician. Very nice. So that said, this is what kind of, as I said, it's my primary account. There's some nice features in here. So if I well, let's do it this way. Per my primary, right? So as is often the case with Elliotticians, their accounts reveal themselves slowly over time. So right here, we'd be making an assumption about where we are. We start to work backwards, and then we can confirm some things. Now, there is no count here that doesn't require some bit of a compromise. If you're working the bull count that we were just looking at, well, this is a little wonky. It's a little unusual to have this. I mean, it is technical, right? So there are some things that help you kind of lean into this. I think time imbalance is, as I've said many times, is my biggest hurdle with this, right? I think this is, as this 4 relative to this 2, we don't get enough time, which is why I like the triangle. And by the way, I didn't start with the triangle, but just over time, now it looks like it certainly has equal probability to this being just a 1-2, right? But the compromise here, and I think I showed this last week, just a review here, right? For some, we never know if we're going to have new viewers or not. If I get that right on that pivot here. So we're just a hair. You have this very nice confluence here. I think it's even tighter than that if I get right on these. Right on that. We're very close. We have this nice little pocket here of these prior lows being right at the 2618 length of the A projected from the B, and then you have the 38 to the tick, and then you have the 23.6 internal channel. So you've got a lot of confluence here. So the fact that we pivot here is not what's shocking. It's more just a question of, well, if this is going to play, if it's going to play as a triangle, you can kind of see how this could, deal with some of that time imbalance. Right, that's what's influencing my thinking. If we do this and it ends up, it's not a great free draw here, but if we end up going sideways here, we deal with the time imbalance, right? So that's what's influencing my thinking. So if I bring this back over here, a couple of nice things about Motive Wave. It will highlight. You see how I've got additional fib levels here, but the highlighted is the 618, and then same here with time and some of the others. So if I look down here, now we're going to go through what we've just been into this, but if I highlight the triangle, what's nice about this is that I can just go right click and I go, okay, so ratio analysis will show me the high probability locations for the C relative to the A. So if this C right here, so if this C right here. Well, so you can see here, I can look at this and say, okay, well, if it's going to come down and hit one of those high probability locations, well, perhaps the 100 would do it. Perhaps the C coming down here to the 127, 138 window, that would maintain the geometry of the triangle. And then I have the additional benefit here of just being able to right click and saying, okay, well, if I'm looking for the C in time, I can do the same thing. Go C, show me the C versus the A, and then I get the 2 high probability locations for the C relative to time. So I get the A, B. So I've just been sitting down here patiently waiting for this to retrace, which I know there were a lot of people as it was going up. It's a funny thing, right? So as soon as I start seeing on Twitter, Bitcoin will never be below 50,000 again, or 60,000 or 30, whatever it is. As soon as I see that, it almost confirms that it will. So as we were rallying up here, there was a whole lot of, you'll never see 50K again. Never see it, or 40K, or I don't even remember. All right, maybe when we were up at 60, you were never going to see 50 again. It's almost a trading signal, because it's just the markets don't respond to that. Markets are going to do their own thing. So as we sit here now, we got a little volatility. So nothing has happened here that would cause me to change this count. If anything, we're looking like it's more probable. So this little sell-off here, fairly hard to see that as anything other than just a straight ABC, just a little zigzag, right? It's perfectly technical. Again, we're going to look at it in a little more detail. So what would you think? Well, so if you're down here saying, oh, there, that triangle has got possibility here. And again, it's not that, oh, well, this must be what unfolds. It's just this is one of multiple counts, right? So you got to pick one, right? I mean, I suppose at some degree, you've got to have one that's your primary, and then you have a few alternates based on how the market reveals itself here. So if that's an ABC, well, it's pretty reasonable to put that a W there and say, okay, well, if we're going to go down to this C, and that is the pivot low of the ABC for this count, that would have to be a W. Now we'd be looking for the X. So same thing here. I would just right click that and I'd go, well, show me the ratio, the high probability relationships for the X relative to the W, all right? So 618 would be it. So I can look here and say, okay, if we come up into this X and I get a pivot here, and you can see how that would make sense, just be price action. I can go all the way to this pivot, this high, come up to that 618. Okay, well, that would make sense. Well, if I'm going to come down this far for that Y, I'm going to need a pretty good Y. Same thing, right? So you put down here and say, okay, well, let's see. Let's go. Oh, here we go. So the Y versus the W's or the X. Either one of those is what I'm looking for. So here are my high probability counts, the Y versus the W. The 100 would put it here at 34 and change. Then the 127,138 gets it more in line with the triangle geometry. If I'm going to come down here and hit that, late October, okay, well, that certainly would make sense. So WXY. Well, now the question here is, it's going to be interesting to see if we take out this low. You almost don't want it. You'd prefer that we put a 3 in to get the X, and then if indeed we do start down, right, per this count, boy, it'd just be right on track, right? That's what you're looking for. Now, so you look there and you say, well, wait a minute. If the high probability count here is at the 100, well, that's right. So if we pivot here, if this holds as the W, we get a 618X, and we come down towards the 100. Well, this would be short per the triangle geometry. I don't know that it would completely kill it, right? If we were to pivot here, wouldn't completely kill it. You'd be losing some of that perfect trend line geometry into via the triangle. Now that's all wick, so I'm not sure I'd cry too hard over that, right? If it's going to come down here, but ideally you'd like to see it come down a little bit lower, come to that 618, because that's the high probability zone. So if we're going to get down here, then we push off of that. Certainly one possibility is, if per the bear count, the bulls will be thinking 1, 2, right? And it certainly could do that. It's not that, again, I feel like I have to keep reminding people. This is not a bearish count, right? So if this is the 3, we're just working through the 4. This entire count, I'm not bearish. The entire count implies much higher prices, much higher if that's the 3, and we're going to put in a 4 over here. The implication is much higher. So what's happening right now is just the frustration, and this is, if you're working with Elliott Wave, this is very typical, right? There's nothing here that's out of the ordinary. Oh my God, I love the. Oh, Elliott Wave doesn't work with Bitcoin, right? It just makes me chuckle. Clearly, someone doesn't understand what Elliott Wave is. I guess we would say charting it. Elliott Wave is not about price action, right? It's about human emotion, right? Fear and greed, right? Crowd dynamics. So to say there is nothing that doesn't, right? As long as human beings are trading it. Well, now I catch myself saying that, right? We know that the market is, I don't know, what are we at? 90, 95%? Well, certainly in traditional markets, 95% algo driven. Yeah, could be right that there's enough change here, but still there are enough people trading this who will make decisions that I think the fear and the greed will just continue to play out here. So you don't have to be an advocate or an Elliott Wave enthusiast, but to ignore it, I think you do at your own peril. Right, so with that said, so not much else to add here other than, boy, that sure would put in a nice pivot down here. We would be in the 32.5 to 35 range before this. If this is going to play out. Now it's a lot to project the C, the D, and the E when we're still questioning whether or not this is even a B, right? Or is it a 1, 2? And we'll look at those counts in a minute. But if this plays, right? So my plan has just been to sit back and wait. I'm waiting for one of these, this October low. Just working off of probabilities. What does it typically do, right? I'm not trying to forecast the future. I'm just saying, what has it done historically? What's most common? What's most probable? Now, if this count is all wrong, right? It would be easy to say, how do we eliminate this count? Well, if we retrace here and then we take out that pivot, right? You're likely now looking at the more bullish count, which would be 1, 2, and we're off into the 3. So no reason to change this until something happens that would eliminate it as a possibility, right? So let me push that back off. I think we dwelled on that enough. But again, if you're interested in that software, it's as good as anything you'll ever put your hands on. It's really, for a technical analyst, about as good as it gets, right? So I mean, even if we stay with this triangle play, right? If this is the 3, oh shit! Here, I guess I'd have to do it this way. If we do it this way, we're looking for, well, there's 360,000. Now, are we going to get that far? I don't know. I mean, here this would be the job, right? You can see how the geometry would play, right? 400,000. So I am not a bear. I'm just a realist, right? And so as I look at that, sure looks like the triangle is still a candidate. Now let's go down from that, having spent enough time on that. So shit, I got to remember where it is. Okay, so this. Is this the one I want? No, I think this is the one I want. I think I've simplified it a little bit. Okay, for those that are convinced the low is in, right? And it may very well be, right? I'm not fighting that so much. It's just I just don't see it as the 4 low. That's really all I'm saying. I think the 4 low comes in over here. All right, so if we've got that, well, of course, now the advantage of this count is we get to use this sweet 5, right? In the other count, we got to fuck with it a little bit. We got to truncate the 5, work that into the B. So it's not, there's a little bit of a compromise in either one of these counts. But if that's the 3 and we go A, B, and we come down, we get the sweet 5 right to the 38. Now we start off, okay, well, again, I'm not rooting against this count. If that's the 1, all right, we have to go A, B, expand the B, get the 2, all right, 3, 4, right, we can finish this up. There's a nice little channel here, gets this. So that would give us a completed impulse, right? Well, pardon me. There are multiple ways this could be counted, right? And I've seen some very well-respected Elliotticians count this differently than I am. This is what I see. So it's perfectly valid, right? We can see this. We can end this with the nice diag up here to get us the 5. And there was a, oh, shit, there was a, I think I took it off here. I hit it. But there's a perfect, I mean, literally to the tick median line tag up here, right? So, I show these every week, and it's still, I see people posting without using median lines. That just seems, why would you not use them? So here we see that nice 23.6, that this inside channel, how we're pivoting around in this. Well, okay, all right, so let's consider this count. Certainly it's valid if the 4's in. 1, 2, 3, 4, ping, right? We got the 5, right? So while there are multiple ways to count this, this is a little, right? The time imbalance here is noteworthy as well. If this is, we have to go A, B, C, right? You'd call this sharp. This is, you don't get great alternation here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I mean, it's one way to count it. I until forced to change it, I don't see a better count. This is really tricky up here. So again, it can be counted multiple ways. You could go A, B, C. There's a couple of different things you could do. But now that we've dropped this far, and note here, prior 3, 4, right, a common location for the retrace. Okay, well, so let's look at this, right? I mean, it's not complicated. Yeah? If this is A, B, C, okay, well, let's think about that, right? If that's A, B, C, and you can see, right, it's just it's a little funky, but you've got your waterfall, right? So this is and this Bitcoin, right, is prone to doing this straight down. Well, you'd have to, I mean, you don't have, again, this is also often the case with Bitcoin, you don't have much of a 1-2, right? So you're going to have to dig it out there. It's a tough one. So I prefer to, I like this better to do it this way, to work through, oh shit, can we do it that way? A, B, C. I like this better. So I want to complete the A wave here, because to try and make this the, oh shit, how would you have to do it? You'd have to do it much like the low down here. So this would have to be your 4. This has to be your 5. So again, you're truncating. Now notice what we're truncating, what we're bumping into. That's from the absolute 1-2 low. That's the center median line. Right? You see how that just becomes a magnet to the market? Ping off, down. Now below, now testing from below. It's amazingly consistent, right? Just pinging that median line over and over. So we might look at this and say, okay, well, if that's done, right, could that be the ABC? Well, okay, right? I mean, it's a 3, right? That's the first criterion, right? It's simple, right? 5s and 3s, right? Keep it simple. Okay, can I simplify that? Well, yeah, okay, if that's the ABC, well, I got a nice little zigzag here. I'm a little shy of the 50. Oh, let's here, let me, oh shit, here, let's, I want this one. That one? Oh no, pardon me. That's the POC. So let's. So we leave that there. All right. Well, let's just tee it up from the low. So this is my absolute low. Okay. So into the high. No, we're a little shy of the 50. Right. It's possible that's a front run. It's a bit farther than you might anticipate. You'll note here that it's right in line with that high volume node here. Right, so we must have stalled here a little bit, so we get that, just bringing that over. Seems like, so business was done here. So we get this high volume node here. Now, if that's done, you kind of want that to be done. So, so we could say, okay, because I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't have to truncate here. So I could be done with that zigzag. Now, is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Well, hard to say, right? It's not a great start to it. Let's go. I think I have this somewhere else, but I can't remember where it is. Oh, I think we could probably get a good A in here. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we get 5 up off of the little freak out China news. All right, so if that's the low, okay, 1. Now, well, I got a pretty deep 2, right? So this is for the Elliott count, you'd prefer to not have this roll over, right? Because you'd be kind of in a conundrum here to where, it's not really ideal spot for an X. It's not a great looking 3. You'd like the X to go further. So if you're preferring the more let me call it the sideways count, you'd rather see something like that before it comes down. So this is going to get a little more problematic to count if we take out this low over the weekend. Certainly possible. And we'll look at some of the TA here, which I know members have already done this here, but we'll do it here in a second. So 1, 2, right? That's not much of a 3, like I said. So this going sideways here, that could be a B. We could have some sort of a wonky B going in. So can you get 5 in that? Jesus, I don't even know if you can get on a 15. Well, that's not much of a finish, so you'd have to. Ugh, that's ugly. I don't want to finish it here. Well, you don't have much to work with. Jesus, even on a 5. Not much of a 2, right? Says Bitcoin's notorious for this. No 2. Now, let's see. You got one alternate here that you could do here. So it looks like you can go here. Let's just work with this on the fly here. I think I had done this, but here, I'll just do it on the fly. Okay, so it looks. Jesus, can I get that done? Yeah, all right. So let's take a look here. All right, so if that's the 1, so I can get an impulse into that. Jeez, I don't love it. Well, so let me take this up a degree. All right, it's often the case. There's always a little bit of a compromise with Bitcoin. Something seems to need a compromise somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's a. Well, my thought here was that we could do this, right? We can go A, B, and we can come down for the C. That's the, and I'm just kind of thinking, all right, so if I can get something started here, well, maybe. Note, I'm down on a 5-minute, which I very rarely do. Maybe I can get a 1, 2, 3. This looks very 4-ish. I can get something like that to come out of here. It's not great. I don't think we've overlapped yet. Yeah, well, we have. So you'd have to go you'd have to iffy, right? So this looks like this could be a triangle. So this remains to be seen, how we come out of that. So you've got a candidate here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4-ish, right? We've already had the overlap. So A, B, C, D, E, right? So you could see a candidate here, just that, because this could pop here. We could go up. Maybe if you're trying to dig that 3 in here to balance out here, so you maybe get a flat. Well, pardon me. We couldn't have a flat, right? This isn't far enough. So maybe we just have a little truncation, or we're still the triangle. Actually, looks like the best fit here. So let's tee that up. We'd have that and that here. So we'll kind of watch and see. That's, and I don't recommend a lot going down to the 5-minute often, right? Unless you're a day trader. But you can see, right? Okay, well, if I can get out of this, if I can cross over this clear resistance here, but just the POC, if I can get up towards this, well, next couple of spots you'd look for would be here and here. So I can get up to something like that. Now, of course, there's going to be an algo on the other side. So let me pull this back out to a 15. This is a bit of a... Shit, can we do it this way? It's not much better. I think you're kind of stuck with that 1, 2, 3, 4. Fuck. Guess you're stuck with that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a little bit of a squeeze, a little bit of a force fit. But if we start to take off from here, this may be the best way to solve the puzzle down here. It's not perfect. right? Remember, Elliott's not perfect. Don't expect it to be. So it's a bit of a puzzle piece that's in right now. Now, we'll see how we come out of that. If that's the case, then, okay, well, you know, this count may still play itself out. Let me get back to an hourly here, and we'll look at this if it makes sense. Okay, ABC. Now I got to get 1, 2. Boy, I sure better get a good. Here, I know you're not going to be able to see that very well. Here, we'll draw it here. So that's it. So we're looking for that 1, that 2. Now you'd be buying here where you've had, if you're looking for a shorter term swing here, you'd be buying where we've had pretty clear wick rejection, right? Probed it, rejected, probed, reject, probe. Jeez, I feel like I'm talking about an alien abduction, right? A lot of probing here, right? A lot of probing of the lows. So 1, 2. Okay, so if I come out of here with a 3, would that eliminate the thought that this is still a triangle, or that we put in a W here and we're going to actually quite the contrary, right? It would start to confirm it. So if it's A, B, and we get this, now I'm thinking X, right? Before we go down for the ABC, right? Per the triangle count where we started. Tough to make a call in here. See, I keep coming back to this, going, why? What's the hurry? What's the big hurry? Right? FOMO is a killer, right? FOMO does nothing but damage your account. So what's the big hurry? All right, as I've said, I'm plenty long Bitcoin. I'm not in a hurry here, so I want to. It's always just what are we trying to do? We're trying to identify where the 4 is. If I can get that. Come over here, right? This is what we're after here. Oh, Jesus, I can't seem to get that thing hot. 1 second here. I'm trying to, not much of a. There we go, right? I lost my thunder there. Where are we going here? We're going 23 through a triangle. That would make sense. We're going to go deeper for the zigzag. All right, well, we had a big zigzag into the 2. So you're just guidelines of alternation. You're thinking, oh, okay, well, the triangle sure would make sense. So what's the big hurry here? We got all this news, we got FUD, we got all sorts of government, China's banning, the SEC is, you're not sure what the hell they want to do. They can't seem to figure out. We got so many mixed messages from them. So all of that just feeds, I think, the storyline here that we're going to balance this thing out, right? So we're going to stay in this range from 30 to 50. Here we can see this high volume node sitting right here at 37. So we just go sideways, right? What's that good for? That's good for alts, right? As long as Bitcoin's not tanking, right? Now we're going to see day-to-day swings, right? We see 15, 20% swings in crypto all the time, right? That's just a typical day in crypto. But for Bitcoin, it's not, the question is not, am I anticipating higher prices? The question is, where's the strategic time to be adding? Right, so while this was all going up, right, and everybody was shit tweeting or shit commenting oh, you're missing the whole thing. There was never any real fear of that. Right? So that, if you start to give into that and you say, oh shit, man, Twitter's going nuts on it and we're never going below 40 or 50 or whatever the hell it is. That's FOMO, right? So then you go, oh shit, well, I just read on Twitter we're never going below 50 again, so I better jump on it. Take your time, right? So the best trades usually that are well thought out. You have a plan. You have a plan A, plan B. The execution is easy because your plan comes into place. It's right in the pocket where you're looking for it. Now, again, I'm not saying it's inevitable that we come down here, but there's no. I don't think we're in a big hurry here. All right, let me kind of finish up here on Bitcoin. Oh shit, this would be. I think this is got too much shit on it. Give me a second here, because I've got the, I want it over here. Hang on. Oh, let's try this. Okay, this is cleaner. All right, so here where I've got the wolf range on it, so we're just taking that first swing and we see the 100 and the 2, the 100 perfect ping here and 200 within ticks of it. So we've come back down to this consolidation. This can make sense, right? You can say, okay, well, this was prior resistance now, but yeah, we got wicks through, but we're kind of stalling here. We've got this consolidation here. Now we just went and looked at how we might count that. Can we get the A in, A, B? Maybe that's the C. We've got the B in. You're just working with what you've got here. Now, the things that we would look at here, if the W's in and we're looking for that X here, so the ideal location for that would be right back at the 618. Well, Oh, I know every member has done this because we've shown it, right? So this is one of those confirming things that, yeah, I've shown this so many times. It still just astonishes me that people don't use this, don't recognize it, aren't aware. So right, we know Bitcoin is very responsive here. So this, as I tell you, is all the market ever does, right? It's all it does. Over and over and over again. Every one of these little swings can be broken down into that, right? If it turns into a 5, we just get more extension here, and then we get another 3, right? So it's all the market does, right? It's just simplify it if you can. All right, so swing, we retrace right to the golden zone. We get, here's the first target. Get a little reaction. You know, I mean, here we're tagging it again. So clearly this algo got paid. So now you'd be looking at that and you'd be thinking, well, hey man, there's I can see exactly what happened, right? So we pinged it here. This algorithm took it down to the 23.6, right? We get some reaction. We got some wicks through, but we get a reaction here. So if you were sitting there looking at that thinking, oh, the ABC is in, and as I would be, first thing I would say to you is like, oh, if we're coming off in a 5, okay, that's fine. Well, right? You got to pay attention to the algorithm that'll be there from this pivot. Right, so again, I'd like to think that every single person who has ever watched my channel here, every sub, I know every member has done this, so what do? Right, we do it again. You know, it's just, these are to the tick, right? This actually gets a tick into the golden zone. So when I say, that, look here, we'd prefer that this goes higher here. Well, here's our target, right? That's going to be a little problematic. That's going to be tougher to fit that into an ABC, right? We had a nice clean pivot here. We're through the algo pivot. This is actually a perfect 100, if I'm not mistaken. Right to the 100, right? So do you see, it's just so funny. Right, so this is just perfect, Elliott. It's just perfect. So it's a combination of perfect, Elliott, and these are the cornerstones of our entire methodology. So what did the algorithm do last, right? What's the Elliott count? What's the most high probability location for the C relative to the A to the B, right? 100. If it's going to retrace, what are we going to bump into, right? We know we're going to have a sell side algo that's there, right? So, I mean, it's just ping, 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 ping. I just continue to say, how would anybody watch this and then ever trade the same way again? Not have this be at the forefront of their analysis. It's a mystery to me. Up right into it right now. So if that's going to finish now, again, nothing. There is no necessity that we come down here. It's not that this is inevitable. You hear me say that all the time. Right? It's not that it's inevitable, but right now, right, we don't have a buy side. So from these inner pivots, right, we're way too far. So I don't have a buy side to drive me higher. So right now, if this is going to fall lower, you sure would consider that as a candidate. So then you might be looking at this going A, B. All right, well that's clean enough. This I don't want to do it, but you might be forced to doing it. You can't quite, it's not quite exactly like the bigger low down here. It's not quite exactly right. But so right now, based on what we have, you'd have to put the B there. This, I suppose, right, we'll go back and forth on this based on what follows here. So you might look at that and say, well, hey, if that's not going to be if we're going to take this low out and we're not going to get our nice technical pivot here, algo target reached, we're 100 to the tick, A to the B, projected for the C. First thing we bump into is the algo. If we're not going to go down here and get this, how do we get out of here? Well, again, as I was just saying, we'd prefer this to break and get up here and get that X. Now, if it breaks, of course, let's take this one off. If it breaks, what's the first thing we do? Right, we go right there. Where's the high probability location for an X relative to the W? I mean, it's almost like it's scripting the thing. If it's going to go down here, then you got to think, oh, 1, 2, right? If we get a bigger drop, oh, something else is going on. If we're going to get a 3 out of this, we want this to go up here, right? If you're looking at multiple count variations here, right off the bat, this is going to get negative for bulls, right? If we go 1, 2, that's bad news for bulls. We don't want that, right? So even if you're with me on the idea of the triangle, you want this thing to rally, but I don't have an algo here. So you're kind of it's a little bit nervous for a bull here who's now convinced that the low is in, right, and that we've gone 1, 2. It could be. We don't have anything for this inner structure here. So the only pivot I could look to, obviously we're too far here. So the only pivot I could look to is here and say, is there anything here? You know, we kind of looked at it from the absolute low. It's close to the 50. This would not be the dominant. This would be the secondary. This would be your dominant pivot, right? So is that enough, right? So maybe we've got a front run here on the 50, and this is going to have. Where is it? Right, if you do this for yourself, you can see that there's the target up there. Well, now if we go up and do that, okay, so triangle blows up. Okay, something else is going on. So it was 1, 2, and this is 1, 2, and now we're going 3, 4, 5, and triangles off the board, and now the 4's in, and we just went 1, 2, and up we go. And now you're looking for the 1 to complete and waiting for the 2. Right, so the suggestion here is not to, if we start heading higher, to just go balls deep and get long, because that's the first thing you got to clear. You have to clear these, right? I just had this conversation with some members, right? So, we do a lot of day trading in the futures markets here. And this is a constant hurdle when you're down on the 1 minute or a tick chart in those markets here. You have to wait for this to clear. Doesn't matter how technical, what's your indicators, what the order flow looks like. It doesn't matter, right? Because there will be a reaction there. Simply because the code is written to sell that. That doesn't mean they take it down here, but you're likely to get a reaction. So you never want to buy into that, because right off the bat, you're likely to be underwater. Now you're panicking. Now you're going, oh, fuck, man. And you don't know why. Or maybe you look left and you say, oh, okay, well, there's some congestion here, right? There's always a way to talk yourself into it. Okay, so you get this, right? This is the one. See, I want to be long going into it. So if I get rejected there, at least I'm playing with house money. You never, and I mean never, want to buy into that, ever. Oh, but there was one time when I saw it get through. I don't care. Yes, of course, sometimes it's going to get through, right? And there are sometimes it'll just blow right through it, right? There's enough horsepower behind the engine. Maybe it's news driven, but over time, this is not a place to be entering the market. Because I can absolutely guarantee you, there was some dumbass, well, I shouldn't say it that way. There was someone who maybe wasn't aware of this, who bought it right there. Oh, lows in. Oh, ABC or whatever, price action. Okay, I drew some lines here, and that tells me that that's where support is here. So I wanted to see it pull. There's a little retrace. Boom, I'm going long. I mean, talk about in your face, right? So same thing happened here. Promise you, somebody here. What shit, right? There was a trade there, right? So somebody longed it right there. Why would they do that? Because they don't include this in their analysis, right? That's the only explanation. Otherwise, you just didn't. Well, I'll let you guys fill in the blanks there. Right, why would you do that? Right? Because the only reason is because you don't know about it. Half of what I'm doing here is just making you guys aware. Hey, don't buy right into it. We want a 3 here if we can get it. ABC. If this rolls over, I get a little more concerned about the count. What alternate would you have here as an Elliottician? Even if you said, okay, it's some sort of fucked up 1, 2, right? We get so maybe the A's here. So A, 3 into the B. Okay, I can work with that. Well, we need to finish in 5, right? So that would be, you start to look at that and say, ooh, if that's 1, 2, and I'm going to go at least 100% of the 3, all of a sudden, this starts to look a little dicey down here. Right, we're going down to challenge that old 30. Where Bitcoin will never go again. You'll never see it at 30K again. Well, I don't like to see those kind of comments, right? But this here, right, you'd still be anticipating, as I just drew it up, you'd still be anticipating there'd be another leg down. Now, would that work for the Y? Do you see how that's teeing up here? Where we'd have the target here just in front of the golden zone. So if it comes down here, boom, boom, boom. Can you see how that? You start to. This is what Elliott gives you, right? So is the ability, because otherwise it's just, I don't know which pivot, right? Draw some lines, right? So here there's a methodology here. It's like, oh, if it does that, then I have a reasonable expectation, not certainty. We don't get certainty. I have a reasonable expectation as to what's likely to come next. And if I do roll over here, okay, what's the, if I get the A, right, I'm looking for the B. Right? You see how the whole thing, it's just, these are puzzle pieces. So this is, I swear to, this is how I describe Elliott. It's an unfair advantage to people that understand it. You have an advantage, my opinion. You have an advantage over every other trader who's not incorporating it or is not skilled with it yet. Unfair advantage, right? You've got all these probable paths. Again, the odds of this playing out exactly this way, you know, we'll see, right? It's just, this is what's most probable based on the snapshot in time that we have right now. Not that it's a certainty. It just gives you a roadmap. Right, that's all we're trying to do is say, okay, where are the key inflection points, the pivot points that we would be anticipating? This is a bit alarming, right? We do not want this low to break over the weekend because the possibilities start to get reduced of what could be next, right? We start to eliminate some possibilities. Right now, we want this low down here to hold and this thing to come up here and at least challenge that. Now, if it breaks it, I'm not crying. I'm never, ever rooting for Bitcoin to go down, right? Never. So if this goes up here, so what does that mean? Oh, well, hey, the ABC is in, right? We forget the WX, we get a 1-2, and we're off of the 3, and crisis averted. Holy shit, I'm already at 40 minutes. Okay, let me wrap up here. So I think we've covered that enough. Okay, so I'm going to back up to 2, and then I'm dropping a new one on you. Okay, so here, these I talked about last week. Interesting, right? We came right, as I said, you heard me say this 1,000 times. The asset doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I'm looking at. I could, almost, the chart makes no difference to me, whether it's crypto, FX, equity, index, day trading, in the futures market as we do every day. Doesn't make any difference to me. What does the market do, right? This is all it ever does. Now, are we gonna break this pivot and go lower? So let's say we do that. And you say, well, hey man, you told me that's all it ever does, right? What would that be? Swing, retrace. One side's gonna break, right? You can simplify the market down to just that. All right. Swing. Can I get a 5 in there? Yeah. Can I get a 3 in the correction? Where do we go? Right? Do we know we're going to do that? No. What do we have here? Golden corner. Oh, I got the other one on here. Let me go back to my golden corner pocket. Now, another thing you'll often hear me say, well, you don't have to pick the turn here. Oh, we're just a little bit of a front run if I'm right on these. I may not be. Looks like I'm not. All right, so just adding to the front run here, assuming I'm on these. Get this right. There we go. Okay. Technically, we're not in the golden zone, so you'd call this just a corner. Now, this is something you hear me say a lot, right? So you don't have to wait down here and pick the turn. Wait for the first retrace. Now that's kind of deep. That's a little deeper than you'd like here. I'm on a daily, right? But what are you anticipating to come out of there, right? Do you know you're going to get that? Of course not. So because this is a little bit of a crypto freak out, you might wait here. I'd want to see. Oh shit! Let's go to a 4 hour. I'd want to see a green candle come out of this. Do I really have a good start to this? A, B, C. Okay, maybe some wick rejection down here. All right, I like to see that. So this is all getting tested again. Okay, we got down, up we go. All right, so this is all just in sympathy as Bitcoin and all of crypto rolls over here. So VeChain goes with it. Okay, so maybe, right, it's deeper than you'd like. So obviously we broke the golden zone here. So we pull, all right, we went even past the 786. Okay, I'd want to see a little more come out of that. So if you're long, this would be an ideal time to move up your stop. If you're not already, you can see I've got an alert here right in the golden zone. I'd move my stop up to the just under the 65, because if this rolls over here, then something else is going on. So if this isn't going to play ball, right, there's the 3 that we're looking for. There's no reason to give this any more, because the assumption is the pivot's in. Right, that's another thing you hear me say all the time, right? So the assumption is if I'm taking this as the pivot low here at the golden zone, the assumption is that the low is in 1, 2. Now it's deep, but if it's going to roll over, because that's deeper than I would have preferred, if it's going to roll over, why take the additional risk, right? Just tighten up your stop here, because we could come down here. You could go 707. Maybe this whole thing finishes differently. This looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like you could be done there. This looks like A, B, C, maybe a triangle. I'm thinking A, B, C, D. Boy, that'd be a skinny E, but E's notoriously underthrow, right? So that would be, so that's possible. A, B. Okay, if that's it, then I got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't get a great finish here. So the alternate here, the alternate would be here. You'd likely have to do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, looking for more down for the 5, right? So you can't, since you can't eliminate that, I'd be cautious here if you're in this. I'd reduce risk right now. If this starts to go, well, okay. What's the first thing you're going to have to clear, right? Just you have to do this. It's annoying. You're like, oh fuck, man. There's always an algo in the road. I had a day trader who works with us in the room this morning. He's frustrated, right? Because when you're often, as is the case, if you're looking at the intraday analysis in the S&P or the NQ or any of the markets that we day trade, you're just constantly battling these algos, right? Because they're all over the place, right? They're just everywhere. And if you have a lot of traffic, the best thing to do, you got to wait for it to clear. You got to wait for one of these to break and then maybe come back and test from above, right? So, and here's another thing you want to be careful of doing. If it breaks just a little bit, right, then you say, oh, okay, I'm gonna long it. That's not ideal, because this is the people that caught this, the temptation to take profit. You'll run into this structure here, and even though you get a break, it'll start to retrace, which is why we're retracement traders. You don't ever, well, we don't advise ever trading this kind of a breakout. What you want is for that to go a little bit higher and then come back and then test the structure. That's the trade you want, right? So this was the resistance. Let it become the support. So. I'm going too long today. Okay, so let's go over to Ripple, right? Same situation here, right? Except we pivot at the 50. So 1, 2, right? This is very much like the Bitcoin low, 3, 4. Okay, I can get a 5 out of that. There's still could be the 3s over here. Could be you could do it that way. And we got another kick up here. Could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see how that could play. The time relationship plays a little bit better. Now we're a little deeper than you'd like, but here's the little alert on it. We didn't quite. Now, note right off the bat, where do we go here? Right into the Vegas wave. Right at a 50. So we know there's an algorithm that's participating there, but it could go lower. If it goes lower, then you're kind of back here to this one thinking, oh, it's likely a 2. Right? That's kind of what we looked at last week. Oh, A, B, C could be the 2, right? But could also, right? So this is one of the annoying things about Elliott. Could be the 4, right? We don't really know. As they start to go golden zone here, and we start to come down here, then you lean more into the idea of it as the 2, which is just fine, right? So if you're looking to try and get long here, if we go deeper here, look at the nice consolidation here. You'd have your golden corner, right? So that's the 3 you're after. So then same process every time. That's your superpower, right? So then you got that. Right, you get there up like that. So either way, however you want to interpret the count here. Come on. Oh, you probably do put all of that in there and say, well, there's prime zone. If it's going to be a 2, I'm interested in being a buyer down here. If we're going to start to rally, all right, let's just play that all the way through. If we're going to start to rally here, and it's got to be done this way. All right, unfortunately, here we don't get great clarity on how it's going to be done. Well, and I got a good target here. And if it does that, so right, if you're long off the 50 and you get that, well, I don't know that I would stay long there and be doing heavy size here, because you're now actually anticipating that you give back half of it, right? So do you want to ride that down as you give back half of it, or 2/3 of it? Right, that's the individual trader's choice. Right? You got to make that decision. Now the other thought is, because we got this uncertainty in crypto, you let this thing complete. Do I get a good 5 here? Is that the 4, and I get a 5? If I get that 5, well, then I'm very interested here. All right, if here we do the same thing. I'd be, oh shit, come here, too fast for that thing. Very interested here. 5, 3, right? A, B, 5. Well, pardon me. This is 3 because we had diagonals in here. This is, so we get a textbook leading diagonal, A, B. We finish with 5, right? Everything we're doing, everything has to finish with a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can we finish the 1 of the 3rd with a 5, right? If we do, then what are we looking for? We're looking for a 3. All right, let me keep moving. So we covered VeChain, Ripple. The other one I thought that was interesting here is Ethereum to Bitcoin. All right, I've been watching this, and like so many here, I think this one came from a live stream we did. Don't forget, live streams are active on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's much like Ripple. There's a leading diag into the 1, 2, 3, and A, B, C into the 2. Now, this can't be the 3, but I can get a 5 into that. A, B, C into the 2. Oh, I think this was spot on. Now, did you see that? It's just so funny, guys. I mean, it's just, do you see how it just pokes right into the golden zone? Right, this didn't even stop, right? It's just still ripping on third, right? So that's when you know you got a 3, when it just blows right through first target. You barely got a pause there. So it looks, you would have thought that 3 would go a little bit higher, and I think we're done here. So looking at that, it looks like you've done the A, B, C to give you a flat here into the 4. Okay, so I've got a good candidate here to get started, but it's choppy, right? So it looks like it's a diag. So that would imply, if this is 1, 2, the 3 and the 4 and the 5 much higher, right? Right now, we're trying to complete the 5 here. Well, this is interesting because it could be that you're right here, and essentially you'd truncate. It could be, but that's less probable. So what you would assume is that this is 1, 2, because I got a nice leading diag. Now, in a leading diag, let me zoom in there. Right, where with the pattern that's most prone to repeating would be after the diagonal completes here. When you can make a case here, we've got a textbook leading diagonal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with all the severe overlaps here. As it comes down, you're looking for a reaction at the 50. So this becomes your zone that you're interested in. Now, we came just shy of it. We got a little bit of a reaction. So the anticipation would be this is 1, 2. We're looking for a big 3, 4, 5. Let me pull that. Oh shit! Pull that down. All right, so that's a pretty big 3. So you got to look at that and say, well, whoa. Would that work? If this is 1, 2, all right, I'm looking for a big 3. Let's do it this way. If this is 1 and this is 2, right, here's my high probability zone. Now, nothing says it has to stop here, but that's your high probability zone. If we're going to get something bigger, right, for this 5 to complete this 3, could be, right? These are all just candidates. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if that's 1, 2, we know we're going to at least go 100% of it here, so that could be an area that we'll wait and see. You could have a as long as you go 3 here is longer than 1, you could have some sort of contraction here. So 5 ends up being shorter, and you could get it right here. 1, 2, 3. As long as 3 is not the shortest, right? 3, 4, we could get into something like that. So now we'd have a good 3. So we'd have completed the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would give us the 5. 1, 2 of the 3. Now you're waiting for the 3 to bring it down, right, into the 4, and off we go for the big 5, and we've got Ethereum, really ripping. So just another one to put in the mix here, because Bitcoin just hasn't changed enough here, so I thought I'd just introduce a few other things. All right, with that, oh God, that's 53 minutes. I will wrap it up and just remind you, live streams. We do all the alts on Monday, traditional assets on Tuesday. Those start around 9:30. In Central Time. That's when we start them. And then we do record them, and they are available for your review. We do make those public. Finally, just a reminder, right? Just click that link tree. You can find our access to our website. You can always join us for free. That's the most common path. People come in, they'll join us for free. Buzz around the channels that are available. Ask other people, what's it like in here? How's the experience? How's the education? Whatever it is that you're concerned about. Ask away. That's why I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Ask the other members how their experience has been. And with that, okay, I'll wrap it up. Right, again, those all of our good links are down in that link tree. If that interests you and you want to support the channel, there's a few thoughts and a few ideas of ways you can do it. Okay, with that, I will wrap it here. I went too long today. We'll call it a day here, guys. All right, have a good weekend, and I'll be back on Monday for that live stream, guys. All right, take it.